Welcome back to another episode of Trailblazers, where we do a deep dive with the people shaping business, community, and culture in the Lehigh Valley and beyond. I'm your host, Melody Bradford. Today, we have a truly special guest, Kurt Landis, the long-standing and trailblazing general manager of the Lehigh Valley IronPigs, one of the most innovative and fan-loved teams in minor league baseball. Under Kurt's leadership, the IronPigs have broken attendance records, earned national recognition for promotions and community engagement, and created a unique, fun-first baseball experience that keeps fans coming back year after year. We're going to talk baseball, business, leadership, and community, and get to know Kurt a little bit better along the way. Kurt, welcome to Trailblazers.
All right. Thanks, Melody.
Thanks for being here. So you've been with the IronPigs since the team's inception in 2008. Looking back, what were your biggest hopes for the team back then, and how has the reality compared to your original version?
Well, it's been amazing. I was the very first employee.
Oh, my.
No building, no ballpark, and it was an incredible opportunity to truly incorporate my vision for what minor league baseball would look like in the Lehigh Valley. And I always thought, because of the market, our ownership, there was a tremendous opportunity in front of us to do things well and right. I thought we could be, a top 10, a top 15 team in the country. But, to lead the league in attendance, lead the league and the only team that has live broadcast of our games on TV every day, and we lead the league still in year 18 in social engagement and interaction and website visits and unique visitors. It's a testament to the region, but I think we made some great decisions early on and continue, hopefully, to make some great decisions about how our brand is received. But to the heart of your question, I never anticipated that we'd have this level of success, and even if we did, to have this level of success this long. It's truly been a love affair between the team and the community, our business partners, and one of the initial mindsets was that we always wanted to be the community's team and not just our team, that we worked with the community. It's really been neat to place the ownership of the team and how we approach things and what we do, and people have just loved the brand and our type of fun that we bring every night.
The community has really kind of rallied around you guys, and you make it fun. It's like, and you guys are like hitting all these attendance records and things of that nature. And I think you lead the minor league baseball, right, teams as far as engagement and.
We do. It's amazing because there's much larger markets, Melody, such as Charlotte or Indianapolis, Buffalo, Columbus, Ohio. These are major league level
What's
cities.
Your secret sauce?
Well, it's only a half-hour show, right? So we have a great ownership team that believes in reinvesting in our franchise, be it the facility or our employees in the community. I mean, we've given back almost $2.5 million in cash grants through our charities organization.
Oh, wow.
And that's something that blows in the industry, that blows people away, because a lot of people will donate tickets because they have the excess inventory, but to actually give cash grants back to the local community that we've done for the last 18 years is something nobody else is doing. We were, in fact, the first team to have a public board for our charities because, again, we wanted to be community run and community driven. And that's an important part, that we established our charities even before we established the baseball team. That was part of the mindset and part of the culture that we wanted to establish early on.
So you mentioned the team, right? Okay, so many people outside the sports industry may not realize how complex it is to manage a team like that, right? Can you walk us through a typical day, what it looks like for you during the season, and maybe what surprises most people about your job?
I can't. And I say that because there's no typical
Every day is
day.
different.
Right. And I love my job. It's about managing a lot of different relationships between Major League Baseball and minor league baseball, our sponsors, our fans, our employees, both part-time, full-time, our owners, the municipal partners we work with, politicians we rely on at times. And there are so many aspects. And sometimes, one of those relationships doesn't agree to the decision that you make for another one, and your job is to manage those. But day to day, I might be in a security meeting a day or two ago with our security team, understanding what's the safety of our fans and things below the surface that our fans don't realize exist, because you want to make sure there's a safe outcome every single night. And then the next day I'm talking about unique promotions, if it's a funeral giveaway or giveaway items.
I saw that in my research. I'm like, wait a second, what?
And then, like we talked about before we jumped on air, if you're advocating in Harrisburg for the region to receive tourism dollars, or, my job changes so much, and that's why I enjoy about it. But at the heart of it, what I really enjoy most is when you have fans come through the ballpark, families, couples, and you're realizing you're providing an experience and a memory, and you have the ability to shape that memory, and you've become a foundation to what this community loves and enjoys. It's a kind of a responsibility we have to put our best foot forward for guest service, for promotions, for fun and entertainment, and by the way, also baseball.
Yeah. And, okay, so let's go beyond baseball just here for a second, because you guys do an incredible amount of really cool, fun things at the ballpark. And you're known nationally for creative promotions. From the bacon branding to illumination at Coca-Cola Park during the winter, which was just fabulous. My daughter loved it. Savannah Bananas.
Right.
And the celebrity softball game. How do you and your team come up with these ideas, and what's been your favorite promotion so far, or event so far?
Well, I think it's a culture that we have, Melody, of having a very inclusive, open environment where people can feel free to provide ideas. I think you continue to build upon the success that we have. So when the Savannah Bananas or the Party Animals, the Cosmic Baseball, which is Glow in the Dark Baseball, which was incredible.
Yeah,
we had recently,
I heard about that.
Or the
toilet paper night.
Yes,
Did I hear
everything.
that? Is that right?
So the Philadelphia Eagles, to have their celebrity softball game here, they recognize that our fans support it. They recognize that we do things right. We have a great reputation in the industry and beyond about working in fairness with those we partner, and those things build on each other so that you're looked as an opportunity to host these things. And illumination, you mentioned our Winter Lights Festival, which was brand new last year. That was so successful in year one. It was beyond our hopes, and again, the community just rises. But that's about us, always evaluating, always trying to get better. And I think for 7 to 8 months of the year, we're fantastic. We're top of mind. There's a lot of events. And now to do that 12 months of the year, because we're hosting 42 nights of winter lights. And, I always look at our mission as providing affordable family fun and memorable experiences. And nowhere in there does it say baseball. So, baseball is an integral part of who we are and what many fans expect and enjoy. But from our mission, you can accomplish that in many ways, in the winter, through Lights Festival, or some of these other special events that people are just drawn to and love.
Do you ever does the team ever come up with some wild ideas that maybe you're thinking to yourself, that one might go a little too far? Has that ever come up?
Yes, absolutely.
In 18 years?
and I tell people that even if it's a bad idea, or even sometimes we try ideas that I think, well, that might fail, I think you learn from your failures as much as you learn from your successes. And so a lot of times we'll try something maybe in a small way at first, almost because if it fails, I'm okay with it, because I think there's ways that we can learn and tweak and adapt, that all of a sudden you take perhaps a failure, but without that, you don't have the success that you have. And that's part of that culture as well. And you asked about my favorite promotion, and that's so hard to answer. Over 30 years in the industry and 18 Lehigh Valley, but the urinal video games was probably one of the first true viral sensations that we had in minor league baseball, because that was back in 2012, and Twitter and Facebook was
just
still
exploding,
new, and Instagram. So to have urinal video gaming was something that was one of my fun favorites.
And so what were they doing? Just standing there gaming?
Hands-free, don't worry.
Okay, good.
And you would step up to the urinal, and there'd be essentially an iPad that was above the urinal.
Yeah.
But there were heat sensors at the top of the urinal, so it would recognize your stream if it was left, right, or center. And so as you're using the facilities, you were aiming, and as you on the iPad
Oh my
was
word.
a video playing that you were trying to hit penguins going down a snow mountain in a snowmobile, and it would at the end of the game it would say, "Congratulations, you hit 18 penguins,"
Oh
and you were
my.
assigned a 5-digit name like Eagle or House, and then we would collect those in live time and report on the video board. Eagle is leading the ballpark that night with 18 penguins hit. And we would have lines of people behind the urinal.
Oh my
And
gosh.
all the other urinals would be
It was
empty.
yeah, it's the only time there was ever a
was
line
okay to
at the
play.
men's room,
The only
right?
time it's okay to play, right?
Oh man, wow. Okay, well that's wild and fun, right?
But like a lot of things we do, there's the promotion, but then there's the cause behind it. So we had partnered with Lehigh Valley Health Network at the time, and we tied it to a prostate awareness campaign.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Melody, during that 5-year time period, the Health Network reported to us that they had about 2.5 to 3 times as many individuals screen for prostate cancer. So it was a fun, goofy, unique thing that caught a lot of attention. It was a promotion of the year, but then behind it, we did a lot of great things for our community in our region. So that's what makes it one of the memorable things. And the funeral giveaway, I'll try and keep this short. Give away a funeral, and it was a lot about, that's going to be funny, give away the funeral. Well, then the family came that night with the winner, and the family read the essay that was associated with why they were chosen. And the gentleman had 1.5 years, 2 years to live. And it went from fun and jovial to, we had 10,000 people on a Friday night in 2012 crying during a game because it was impactful and emotional about not being able to afford services.
Yeah.
So it went from like, that's goofy to like, we made a difference in the life of somebody that couldn't afford the $15,000 to $20,000.
I have chills.
So it's the best promotions are goofy, zany, and catch attention. Yes, they're viral, but they also have a cause that makes it that much more special.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned, the urinal promotion, this funeral night. Clearly, they were collaborations with businesses here in the Lehigh Valley. LVHN, I'm imagining a funeral home, correct? Right. So,
Correct.
How important is it for businesses to be a part of the local community, and how do you view IronPigs' role as a community leader in the Lehigh Valley and your collaboration with them in order to bring messaging or opportunities out?
Yeah. Well, first off, we talk about the success of the pigs, and a huge part of the success is the baseline financial support that we have from so many of our community partners. And that baseline support, long-term support from our major partners, allows us to be able to reinvest in the ballpark. It allows us to keep our ticket prices extremely low. Out of 120 teams in minor league baseball, our ticket prices rank 85th in terms of lowest. So there's 84 teams that have higher ticket prices than we do. Our food and beverage pricing rates in the bottom 10 percentile across the country.
And how many teams are there?
120 minor league teams.
120. Okay.
Right. So that financial support from companies allows us the ability to keep pricing low, and that, of course, helps us draw a lot of fans. And a lot of fans, we have more companies that want to partner with us. So it's a circle that you never want to break. And then, in terms of the community, we talked a little bit about our charities. We talked about those partnerships and collaborations. I think, you have all these ideas and things you want to do, but if you find the right partner that has the mission or wants to join you in that, it really makes for some great communications, and it makes your partnerships and visibility that much stronger. So to partner with a nonprofit organization, last night at the ballpark, for example, we had Strikeout Cancer Night, and we had probably about 1,000 individuals that were either fought and won the battle or were currently fighting against cancer. And to see them rise during the game to be recognized. And we partnered with the Lehigh Valley Topper Cancer Institute. We partnered with our partners at Toyota. And you have these conversations. Every business relationship isn't just about selling an ad or a billboard space, but it's about helping other organizations reach their goals. And you do that through different ways. And last night was about, not just about a community program, but we have companies that are genuinely interested in the health and care of our region and supporting those in the fight against cancer. And it was a very another impactful night.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, you have your hands in a lot of different things. You have a lot of, basically it's no longer seasonal. I mean, you guys are every season at this point. How do you lead and motivate your staff to embrace that culture of fun, creativity, and operational excellence year after year?
Yeah, I think it's openness and fairness. I think you encourage that through your day-to-day meetings and how you react to ideas. I think that just a culture of fun, creativity. We have kind of our own 10 principles of IronPigs baseball, and part of that is just always wanting to be the best, always wanting to be unique and different in what we do. When we first started, we called ourselves the IronPigs, and that was 18 years ago, very off the wall. People are like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Right? But it was, to us, it was a mission statement in our name that we're going to be bold, unique, and different, and that carries through to our staff.
But it also played on the heritage of the region too.
Absolutely, it was perfect. It was perfect, and there's our owners want us to be called the Lehigh Valley Phillies because there have been so many false starts in the region that weren't successful. A ballpark was half built, and they thought that give us legitimacy. But I knew over time we'd have our own legitimacy because of what we wanted to do in the community, and to have a name that paid homage to the region and also kind of characterized our brand and our own thought process was important to us.
Yeah. And so how, you guys do a really good job of staying engaged with different subsets, right? Not just like the community overall, but like different age groups. Like, you make it fun for everybody. How do you stay relevant in, say, the digital space? I mean, like, what are you guys doing? How are you marketing? How are you keeping that attendance record up and engagement strong and relevance,
Sure.
there?
It's not by accident, and it's not easy.
Because it's changing. It's an ever-changing environment.
100%.
And are you employing AI? Like, how is that?
You have to stay on top of trends. You have to keep working hard. We have a saying right as you walk into our offices. It says, "Staying the same is falling behind." You have to continue to reinvent yourself and look for opportunities. Otherwise, we'll no longer be number one in attendance. And we take that very seriously. It's amazing for our size of market for us to be number one in all of baseball. But there's a drive to be better. There's a drive to improve, and that's why we look for all these different events to do. And my staff, there's times they hate me, and that's okay because we're pushing to be better and different, and we're never satisfied with where we're at. And that's important, that we're always trying to improve and be better.
I hear a lot of Trailblazers say that you can't just stay stagnant. You have to keep moving because you're just going to get passed by if you don't, particularly in the sports and entertainment industry. But you have managed to really create like an iconic brand. You have merch everywhere, and you see people wearing different stuff. And I've even gone to different areas outside the region, and I'll see like an IronPigs, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, are you from the Lehigh Valley?" How do you keep that brand so iconic beyond just like the little I don't want to say little, but the different events and things that you guys do? How do you keep that brand so iconic?
Yeah.
As it is?
And we talked about this.
And I think
briefly.
maybe you guys maybe even have more of a little bit more of an appeal, even from a major perspective, Major League Baseball. I mean, certainly Philly has, let's just acknowledge Philly fans here for a second, but IronPigs hold its own,
We do. There's a little bit of generational marketing. It's not easy to have our brand be popular by every age group. Our seniors want something different. The grandparents want something different than the parents, and the parents want something different than the kids. There's really no age group that we don't have success with. But it's not, it's not because of just one ad that goes out that's a given for everybody. You have to be something for everybody, and you see that in our promotional calendar. You see that in our approach with advertising, and it's not just number one in attendance, but also number one in social engagement and website visitors across all of minor league baseball, both unique visitors and overall visitation. And you want to be something for everybody, and that's kind of an inclusive mindset that we have in terms of how do we have all the age groups come come to the ballpark. And, it's great to see our cap being worn down at the shore or in Florida or you're on vacation. There's a lot of pride that our fans want to wear our flag on their bodies,
right?
Be it apparel or a cap. And if it's merchandise or promotions, what would appeal to this group? And, it might be us having a Pennsylvania Dutch heritage uniform that we wear on Saturdays that a lot of people gravitate to because there's a lot of PA Dutch history in the region. And then, on Friday nights, we wear a uniform that's more of a throwback uniform to the 1960s, even though we weren't around in the 1960s. But there's a lot of energy and excitement about wearing throwback and old school type of items. And then on Sundays, we wear uniforms that are dedicated to the history of the Phillies, for the Phillies fans. And so, through merchandise, through promotions, there's different ways to reach different people. And because of that, we have a popularity among the entire valley and the age group. And it's a huge responsibility with the largest venue in minor league baseball, or the largest venue in Lehigh Valley. I tell people all the time it's also the largest restaurant in the Lehigh Valley, and we never really talk a lot of questions about that. But people forget, we serve 10,000 people in 2.5 hours, and that takes a lot of work. And the facility is part of the entertainment. The restaurant, the food is part of the entertainment. The pork items, the fun, the unique, the zany. It all goes towards keeping your brand fresh and fun, and you just want people to guess every time they come to the ballpark what's new. If it's flamethrowers, if it's fog cannons, if it's bubbles coming out at the main gate, you walk in and you recognize this place is different. I'm going to leave my worries behind and prepare to have a fun night.
First employee at the helm for 18 years. What are some of the biggest leadership lessons? I mean, you've done an incredible job, and you've managed so many things over the evolution of this team, this space, this community. What are some of the biggest leadership lessons you've learned over the years as the GM? And have you had to make any personal sacrifices? Has the have you endured any sort of yikes, I wish I would have put more attention towards this, or I maybe I should have pursued this, or whatever, an education, another opportunity, family,
host a podcast.
Where does the bow break, right? Or has it ever?
Well, the IronPigs brand, because I'm so immersed in it, and it's really become my brand. And there's good and bad with that. I think people love to see me and talk baseball and talk promotions and entertainment, and I love it because I enjoy my job. But it comes with a lot of hours and time, and from time to time you have to step back and understand what's important with kids and family, and when you can be available and can't, and try to make sure that you manage that to the best that you can. So sometimes there's sacrifices made. I'm at the ballpark 75 nights a year during the summer, so sometimes you miss the barbecue outings in your neighborhood or whatever might be the case. But I think for myself and for all of our employees, when things that are really important come up that involve being at your son or daughter's recital, or their field hockey game, or their football or basketball game, graduations, you have to make time to be at those things. So it's a balance, but it's a job that is very rewarding in terms of when you stand back and watch what you can do for others, both from our charitable giving, from providing memories that we've talked about. It's fantastic. As far as leadership lessons learned or followed by, I think there's different ones for different people, different strokes, as it were. For myself, I work hard, and I let that be, I think, more of a lead by example, but I'm also very detail-oriented, and once I think that our employees or people that I trust in our circle of leadership at the ballpark show me that they had the same mission, the same mindset, we let them run and do their jobs and be successful at it within the realm of what our expectations are. And I have very high expectations, and I think some of the things that I need to do better sometimes is reward and celebrate along the way, and sometimes you're so focused on the next step and getting better, and sometimes you have to pause and say, all right, congratulations, for yourself personally and your circle, as well as for our employees and our staff.
And so, how do you personally stay creative and motivated after so many successful seasons, and what refuels you?
I think for me, what motivates me is just coming up with something new and fun. You get asked a lot as the leader of the ship, as it were, what's next, because people become so accustomed to ballpark changes or reinvestments or goofy promotions, and it becomes a little bit of a stress because you want to meet those demands of what's next. But it's also very motivating, and Illumination was a great example of making the ballpark useful and available for 12 months of the year, or at a time that it wasn't. And the reason I felt that need is because you just want to give back to the community that's given to you. So to have this landmark within the region that stood, I say idle, it really wasn't idle. You're kind of like paddle like the duck underneath. You start planning for our season a year and a half, 2 years in advance for certain promotions. So it takes that long with licensing and rules and regs and to do things correctly. But the public perception is that in November, December, it's very quiet. And so to have this event that makes use of a portion publicly funded facility, you're giving back to the community that helps support you through tax dollars. You're giving back to the community that supports you, businesses, employees, individuals. I think for us, like an Arts Quest, PPL Center, you have business goals, but I think inherently you feel a responsibility of who you are and what you do in the community, and giving back and coming up with what's next.
And that refuels you.
Yes, it does.
When
you see the ballpark full, there's an energy in that. When you see a idea or promotion or event, we just talked briefly about Cosmic Baseball, which is glow-in-the-dark baseball. It was brand new. Nobody's seen that before. We were the second tour on a only 7-leg tour to host that, and the ballpark was packed. We turned the lights off. Everything was glow-in-the-dark, and it was spectacular, the viral nature of it. And to know that you were part of that for the very first time, and it created such this incredible, passionate response. You kind of sit back and you feel good about what you're able to do for families and people that had such a great experience and fun. That refuels me. And I, like anybody else, you need to take a break or a vacation. Personally, it's just a matter of, sometimes that spirituality and removal from day to day comes through like a hike in the woods. Or just turn your mind off and engaging in a book or movie just so you can remove your mind. But it's hard. I go to McDonald's and I see their service and I think, how can I improve or how can I steal? I go to vacation to the beach and I see what the hotel does for service, and I'm thinking,
how can I implement that?
And especially locally, you see companies that you engage with and what they're doing, and you make note. And it's hard to turn off that loudspeaker sometimes to truly get away. But it's also, I think, what makes us successful.
Yeah. Was there ever a season that perhaps was particularly hard to manage, like, just given the circumstances around it?
COVID.
Yeah.
That's a popular answer, I'm sure, to a common question. But when we weren't able to play at all, and then the return to play was 25% capacity, then 50% capacity, and just managing employees and staff during that time period. And how do you get creative when you have to have social distancing? So during COVID, to have a character cruise where families could cruise to the parking lot and wave at different characters, not just our mascots, but Spider-Man and princesses, and that was one example. And then having social distance dining on our field. You really had to be creative, and you wanted to give back to the community and find a way to provide a memory or something unique where it was a very difficult time for many. And then for ourselves, we were one of 5 professional sports teams, 5 all professional sports teams in the country, to not have any layoffs or furloughs. And that speaks to our ownership and how they not just give back to the community, but how they're there for our staff. And I was proud of that. But then again, you felt this responsibility to find some revenue and to find some way to give back to the community.
Favorite moment of all time? 30 seconds left in the program.
You have an opportunity to meet different people along the way that you respect, and one of those individuals was Willie Mays. So to meet a Willie Mays or a Bob Feller, who are huge icons in the sport of baseball. I'm still a sports fan at heart, even though we don't really talk about it a lot in this interview. Or Mike Schmidt or Pete Rose.
Yes.
Some of these childhood heroes when you played sports. Those are neat moments. The biggest moments for me, though, still are seeing a unique promotion come off and to see people gravitate and wear your idea on their chest.
Yeah.
When someone takes a cap out of the closet and puts it on because that was an idea you had 3 years ago, and it speaks to them enough that they want to wear your idea, that's special.
Yeah, I bet. Well, let me tell you, you have one heck of a cool job, and it's one heck of a cool facility there you have. And if anybody hasn't been out to see it, you definitely have to go out and check out IronPigs and all the great stuff that they're doing. Thanks so much for joining us today, Kurt. We appreciate you coming on Trailblazers.
All right. Thank you, Melody.
Thank you.